Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is being the field. We have this notion that we are individuated beings existing in a greater field. But what if we are indistinguishable from the field? What if we are the field and in constant flux with it? Could be an interesting conversation. So good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. So good to have you joining us this morning, and welcome to everybody else who's joining us as well. It's Friday, and before we get started talking about being the field, let's take a couple minutes to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the pressure, the motion, the temperature, the sensation of tickling and tingling as you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So being the field, I'm reading a book on biogeometry and biogeometric signatures. And it talks about, and we've talked quite a lot about energy and how really everything is energy, that we live in an animate universe. And actually that notion of the animate universe, maybe we should be talking about that. I think we are actually, but last night on Sustainability Now movie night, we showed a talk by Winona LaDuke, who is an Indigenous wise woman. And it was a talk that she did at Notre Dame in 2016, University of Notre Dame. And she was talking about Indigenous principles. And one of the Indigenous principles is that that it is an animate universe, that in essence, it is a universe imbued with life and intelligence. And when we're talking about being the field, we're talking about that as well. Anyway, so this book, Biogeometry Signatures, or Signatures of Biogeometry, I'm not sure of the exact title, by Ibrahim Karim, is talking about energies, and we can call them subtle energies. They're subtle because we don't recognize them as consciously or collectively as energies like electricity or magnetism, gravity. Anyway, he was talking about how we are not in the field, we are the field. We are inseparable from the field. We may perceive ourselves as separate, but in fact, we are constantly in exchange with this larger field, that we are part of it, and we are constantly influenced and influencing it. And for whatever reason, it struck me in a very different way from all the other awarenesses of connection that I've had. In this notion of connection, it's for me, up till reading that and getting it, it was that we were distinct elements that were all interconnected. However, this new notion, new for me, was that in fact we are not distinct, that there is this continuity between everything, that it's not that these distinct things are being connected through a field, but that there is no distinct thing. And that's a very interesting nuance. And it is also an extrapolation on the notion of who we are as life expressing itself through these vessels. If we consider that to be the fact, then there's this constant movement of life, this constant expression of life through this vehicle that is the interweaving, that is the connecting element, force, energy, that is the animating force, that even inanimate objects in indigenous tradition, things that we consider inanimate, are animate, that everything has its life. And I don't know. I mean, it makes sense to me that translates to manufactured things as well, but I don't know that that's part of the traditional perspective. But the thing is that the field is a continuity, and there may be different densities of energy within that field, but it is a constant exchange, a constant motion, a constant flow of energy. And I find it so tremendously fascinating to experience the difference in awareness and qualitative experience with that vantage point, with that perspective of being the field, not being in the field, but being the field. There's a permeability about that allows for life to flow in a very different way. And we've been talking about releasing the notion of this fixedness, of permanence, of static, that in fact, nothing's static. And we've been talking about being process rather than some kind of entity. And this notion of being the field is absolutely a continuation of that idea. And what if we, what happens, what changes, what's possible if we experience ourselves in life from that vantage point? Things can't help but change. To recognize how continuous everything is, how deeply interwoven. It becomes an experiential shift to reconceptualize ourselves and recognize that maybe there's no self there. Maybe there are unique sparks that or a concentrated energy that's emanating these different points of concentration in the field that are emanating different energies and receiving different energies, interplaying with all the energies. I over this past week had several sessions with people that truly felt like initiations, truly felt like shifts of energetic being, shifts of consciousness that exist on a very fundamental level. We think maybe of our being as localized consciousness, and maybe a concentration of consciousness might be more accurate. I don't know. These are ideas and awarenesses that I'm experimenting with. It's not something that I assert to know. There's not a lot that I assert to know. But one session that I did with someone this past week was so powerful. They were experiencing a light being shown on them. And then and initially it was a blinding light. And then as they deepened into their experience, they experienced sound. And it was sound because I asked, is there a communication? And they said, well, they experienced sound, and it was like this magnificent chorus, and there were no words, and they couldn't understand. And I said, well, that's okay. Be with it, be present to it. And it was like the energy of this light and sound permeated their being and vibrated their cells and shifted their foundational frequency. And it truly felt like an initiation. It felt like an energetic tuning to a different awareness or a different frequency, to be able to resonate with a different frequency. I imagine that there's a phenomenon with tuning forks, that when you activate one tuning fork and there's another tuning fork nearby, that tuning fork will resonate with the one that was activated. And I get the sense that this tuning is something that is happening more and more. I'm, at least if the small sampling of people that I work with is any indicator, there's something happening. And I think we've long been speaking about, not me, but collectively speaking, a lot of us anyway, about a new humanity, a new consciousness, a new awareness, elevation of consciousness. And I'm just seeing evidences of that this past week that I haven't seen in that kind of cluster before. And I find that very hopeful. I find it very hopeful to be becoming more aware. What, you know, it may be that it's existed and it's been prevalent and I just was clueless about it, but I find it very reassuring to become aware of this tonal shift of presence and being and awareness. It actually provides me with some solace and some hope to imagine that even in the face of so much insanity in our world right now, or maybe particularly in the face of so much insanity in our world, to be present to a pretty radical shift. Hi, Jen. Welcome, welcome. Jen says it's the Great Awakening. Yeah, we can only hope, right? It feels qualitatively different to me. The awareness, the sense of presence, the energy that I find myself being able to tap into for myself and also with others, you know, to be seeing this occurring for others as well. It's really quite an interesting phenomenon. I wonder if this is something that you're experiencing as well, and how it is showing up in your own lives, how it's showing up in your day-to-day experience and expression. There's another client that I had a session with yesterday, no, day before, who just has been going such a wonderfully profound paradigm shift. So this is a person who comes from a very spiritual person, but also comes from kind of the traditional world of business and the notion of work hard and that's how you're going to get results. And, you know, you need to push and be intentional and drive kind of paradigm that is so familiar, right? Work hard and then you succeed, and just keep pushing yourself even though you're beyond your limit, and drive yourself toward goals. And it's the doing versus being kind of modality. And in our work together, we've been really cultivating this awareness of flow and manifesting and presence and allowing, power versus force kind of thing. And we'd been working at this and working at this and working at this. And it was, I have to admit, moments of deep frustration on my part, passing moments, but they were there to just say, let go, just stop trying so hard, just allow it, intend, and find the joy, find your place of joy and authentic expression. So anyway, what happened was they got themselves artfully into a situation where their only option was to just ride it, to go with it, to do the best they can. They didn't have time to be crazy sweating over things. They just had to be responsive. They threw themselves into the situation that demanded response and response and response and response and response, and rather than reaction, right? They didn't have time to be pushing and thinking. They just got to be in the dance. And as a result of being in the dance, they created incredible miracles where things flowed so magnificently, and wonderful wonderful synchronicities, wonderful coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences, by the way, but things just unfolded in a magical way as they were in the process, in the flow. There was no resistance. There was no time or energy for resistance. They were just flowing with whatever happened. And they created absolute miracles. Good morning, Jennifer. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning. So we're talking about being the field, because this story actually connects back to that. So what happened was, in our latest meeting, we got to explore how profoundly transformational that experience had been. That now they got this whole notion of flow. Now there was an ease, there was an alignment with life, rather than trying to fight life or overpower it or bend it to our will, to be able to dance with it, so that there's an alignment of the will or the concentration of intention that we are, and the field itself, and allowing this ongoing deep interplay between these different energy concentrations in the field, to be allowing that permeability such that miracles were created. And then now this person is experiencing a night and day, to me, observing it, night and day difference in their ease in the world, just to allow things to be unfolding as they are going to unfold, to recognize a desire and then have that desire be served, to be having this wonderful dance with life. When we stop resisting life and let it unfold as an adventure, that's one of the things this person said, is now it's an adventure. Now it's an experience of discovery. And I think that that's the difference. Rather than facing life with fear, to face it as discovery, to face it with curiosity, even in circumstances that we might not like on the surface, to allow that it's perfect, it's unfolding as it's meant to unfold. And as we allow for that, there's so much less suffering, and we create so much less strife and so much less disruption in this field. It's allowing the flow of the river, being the river, rather than being bandied about by the river, being the river, being in communion with it, and allowing its energy to become our own and ours to become its, so that there's really the blurring of all the edges. And there's such a grace that comes with being the field. We can release our attachments. We can release the toxic ego and allow ourselves. I'm not saying that the ego is entirely toxic. I'm saying the toxic elements of ego. We need ego to maneuver in the world, right? That is the vehicle through our bodies, and our egos are the vehicles through which we maneuver in the world. And so I'm not advocating denying them, but maybe perhaps developing a new relationship with them. Anyway, so I invite you to explore what it is to be the field of, like a hologram, that we are in the field of the field. We are the field, that we are holograms, perhaps, and concentrations of energy with permeable edges. And with that, I'm going to call it a day and wish you a marvelous, marvelous weekend. I'm Mira Rubin, and this is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And it is, as always, my honor and pleasure to be able to spend this time with you and to have these conversations and hopefully expand our horizons together and our way of thinking and being in the world, and serving Mama Life. So until next time.